Number one, because Walter is here and he's a life coach, but he's not like any other regular life coach. He's very, very special because he has this very unique certification that he's going to be telling us about. And the other part of the story is because we have here Ori Garcia, and Ori is a very nice lady. She comes from Mexico, and I will be telling you guys a little bit about her story. She has had up and downs, but then she will be telling us about some successes she has had, and then Walter will run a commentary on that because, of course, him being a life coach, he knows very well how all the different levels of energy or stress work in people, and that's gonna turn like really interesting, right, Walter? But let's allow Ori just to say a quick hello.
Hi everyone. Good morning. I'm very glad I'm here. Thank you very much, Fatima, and thank you very much, Walter, for having me over. Yeah, well, it will be a very nice and a very fun day today.
It's gonna be because it's gonna turn very inspirational and motivational, and with this energy level here at the studio, it's gonna be really, really awesome. But why don't I just let Walter to start telling us about this life coach? Because we hear so much about it, Walter, but I know yours is unique because I have talked to you before. And I really know this is very different, and I know you have coached like really important people, like from regular people just like me or anyone else, or CEOs, directors, sport people. So go ahead and tell us, number one, why did you become one, and number two, what really means life coach?
Yeah, thank you very much, Fatih, for having me here. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be here on your show and to be here with Ori, because I think her story is going to be very inspirational. To start off with, I'm actually, even though I don't have a Spanish accent, I was actually born in Guatemala, Central America, Guatemala City. And my mom, like a lot of immigrants, was first generation, came up here to Canada, and then she married a Hungarian man, and I actually got an opportunity to come to Canada when I was 7 years old.
Uh-huh.
And so I grew up...
So until you were 7, you were speaking Spanish? Like...
Fluent Spanish. and now when I speak Spanish, I speak it like a Canadian, so I have a tendency to eat my Spanish words.
Uh-huh.
But my understanding is great, and I always have a love for the Latin culture and Latin people.
Yes, but, definitely. And you have that Latin attitude too, right? That kind of passion as well. Yeah, you're a mix of Canadian and Latin.
Yeah, I like to see myself as I'm a homogenization of the cultures. So, and I think that's really it's not becoming as unique as we think it is, because I think that a lot of the cultures are blending now.
Oh, definitely.
And a lot of people that came here in the first generation, now we have second and third generation.
Yes.
Latinos up here and Latinas.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the hardest part is really always kind of keeping that culture alive. And,
definitely.
And I find myself, anything that I could ever do to help the Latin culture, I've always tried to do. But to answer your question of why I became a life coach, one of the things that I do, and I have done since for over 15 years, I actually foster a little special needs boy.
Yes.
From the age of 14 months to 15 years now. He's 15 years. And one of the things that happened one day about 2 to 3 years ago is my wife was at a conference, and they talked about how in the social services there's going to be more of a direction to just giving special needs family just sort of babysitting for the weekend, but actually to provide life coaching for them. So that's where I first understood, I sort of heard the word life coaching, so I started doing some research on it. Mm-hmm. And I realized that life coaching could be anywhere from a 2-week weekend course to an extensive program where you can actually go and get certified and the whole bit. And I did what most people do, is I Googled life coaching and just started reading, and then I found this one organization which is world renowned. It's called IPEC, the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching.
Yeah.
And their type of coaching was very unique, and it's based on the 7 levels of energy. And what the premise is that our thoughts create energy, and this energy is how we show up in the moment. And so that really fascinated me, because I've always been a big believer of energy. And if you've ever been to a football game or sporting event, you realize when your home team's winning, the energy's high.
Oh, definitely. Or what about when you go into a hospital? Oh my gosh, like right away you feel down.
The energy. So everybody understands that there's energy, and then the other thing that also happens too is that people know that.
Well, no, sorry to interrupt. I think we're starting to understand that everything is energy. Because I mean, before in the past there were so many beliefs, most of them religious beliefs, that we really couldn't even get into that. It was they would kill you if you would say something like that. So it slowly have been becoming like something more that people are aware of.
Yeah, well, what happened too is that for many years, the arena of energy seemed to be sort of in the new age sort of field. And what's happening more and more is that people are starting to realize that energy is a fact. It's proven that energy attracts like energy, and that there is energy all around us.
Yeah.
So this particular type of coaching actually takes into account that our thoughts and our intentions behind the thought create these energies. And on these 7 levels, to give an example, at the lower 2 levels of energy would be like your victim, or not so much as a bully, but being at the effect of life.
Yeah.
Your second energy would be the conflict, where you're either.
So let's say the first level. Let's give an example. I mean, someone that, and we all been in those levels, right? It's not like it's just, oh, I belong to level 5. I'm okay. No, we all belong to different levels. So someone in level 1 would be someone who
is depressed, is feeling like they don't have much choices in their lives, very low energy, feeling like life is happening to them.
Can a person in level 1 go out in the street and wear a mask and just pretend that everything is good, and when they go back home, basically get rid of the mask and experience level 1? Is that does that happen?
Well, it does happen, but let me sort of just clarify a little bit about the energies. Is that there's 2 types of energy based on our premise. One is called catabolic, which is energy that doesn't work for you. This energy is the energy that tries to protect you, your sense of self, your sense of who you think you are. So what happens is that quite often when people come, it's not the stress that causes people to go into this energy, it's how they react to the stress. Because really a fact in life is just a fact. What we perceive that fact to mean and how it applies to us is why we have these stress reactions.
Yes.
And we all know that when we actually get angry or we feel sorry for ourselves, our energy changes and we show up differently.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens is that when we actually are at these lower 2 energies, our consciousness and awareness of how we are showing up in the moment is very little. The other thing that happens, our emotional intelligence is very low.
Yeah.
Our creativity, our intuition are blocked. And we do a lot of labeling, a lot of judgment, who's right, who's wrong. If you look at a lot of arguments, relationship arguments, it always has to do with somebody's right, somebody's wrong.
But you're saying that, and I mean, I'm thinking of how the world is, and basically everyone, well, not everyone, but the majority are living in level 1 or 2.
The predominant energy right now in our world is level 2. If you look at it in the business world, to look at the wars that are happening, it's all about somebody being right and somebody being wrong. And there's very low level of emotional intelligence,
Yes.
low level of intuition.
Empathy.
Empathy is blocked. I mean, this type of energy is very much the energy that destroys. It destroys big companies, it destroys families, and ultimately, it will actually destroy us human beings. That's why, they talk about how stress kills.
Yes.
Well, when you're in the catabolic energy, it physically does something to your body. It actually, Eckhart Tolle, the man who wrote Power of the Now, says that your emotions are your biological response to your thinking. So what happens is that what you're thinking affects your body. And when you're in these catabolic levels, quite often it's either flight or fight. There's adrenaline being released, cortisol, and eventually that affects your immune system.
Yeah.
And you end up getting sick.
I know. Yeah.
So stress is it's not so much a stress that's a big killer, it's a stress reaction.
But obviously no one really wants to consciously be stressed. It's just that we don't know how to think or how to block the negative thoughts. And that's what you do, right? You help people.
Well, what I do is, before I go to what I do, let me explain the other side of the coin, because everything in life has advantages, disadvantages.
Yeah.
There's the heads and tails, there's always the yin and the yang, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So in the same way that there's catabolic energy that actually doesn't serve us, there's anabolic energy.
Yeah.
And anabolic energy is the healing energy. It's the energy that you tap into creativity, intuition.
Right.
Your level of engagement is high, empathy is high. When the higher you go up in your anabolic energies, the less labeling and judgment there is, the less things you take personal. So really, when you think about the 7 levels of energy, you ask me what the lowest one, well, the highest one on the other side, level 7, is absolute passion.
Right.
At absolute passion, there is non-judgment. You're not judging things.
That's what you have. You're always, well, most of the time in 7, right?
Well, I do my best to be there, and one thing about that particular level is that nobody ever really resonates on that. We can touch that energy, but it's not something that most people don't live at, because that energy, it's an incredible energy. It's absolute passion. Wherever you are, you're 100% present. You're totally. It's considered the highest level of consciousness. I always tell this because I know that people, if you've ever been in love and you've been with that person who you just have so much passion for, you're looking at their eyes, everything about that moment, it feels perfect.
Right.
You don't need to be somewhere else with someone else doing something else. Your passion is keeping you 100% in that moment. So you could be talked for 5 hours and it only feels like half an hour.
Yes.
That's absolute passion.
Right.
And to be able to have that passion is something that a lot of people intuitively would like to have, but what happens is that unfortunately is we live in a very stressful world, and what happens is that we get blocked from getting up to those higher energies by how we react to the stress in our lives.
And it's really unfortunate because if you think when we are really little, when we are children, we really enjoy life. I think children are always in the present time. I mean, when I try to go back to my past, and I think when I was a little girl, I was always like very, very present. I wouldn't concern myself about the past, and I wouldn't even care about the future, not even the next day. And children have that. Unfortunately, as we grow up and we become more responsible, or other responsibilities are attached to ourselves, then we start stressing out. Right? It almost seems inevitable, but it happens. But I'm sure that's what you do, right? Even though life is so set up that way, you find a way how people can actually manage that stress.
Well, you're correct in that. I mean, one of the things that happens as children, we are just being ourselves.
Yes.
And the one thing that happens is that there is something that we have that's called our authentic selves. It's who we really are. And what happens is that as we grow up, we get programmed to think a certain way.
Yeah.
We get certain beliefs that are given to us. We accept certain values, certain life experiences. So that as we get older, we get so full of the programming that we forget who we are.
Right.
Because ultimately, whether we're husbands, wives, employees, sisters, it's even our life story, it's not who we are. It's what we went through and what we do.
And I think that, I'm sorry that I interrupt, but I think that also, like, we get to, like we said, when we were children, we were only focused on being ourselves, but as we grow up, we also get bombarded with all these expectations that society and other people have of us that we should or have to meet.
Yes.
And so we sort of lose ourselves in that as well.
You know, what happens is that we learn how to work and work hard.
Yeah.
Because there's an old saying in our coaching thing that being is effortless, doing is work. So we get taught how to work, and that's why our society is so much outcome performance based. It's what do you have, what do you achieve, what have you done.
But that's horrible because we're basically fulfilling other people's expectations instead of ours. So our passion, like, goodbye, because you can't do both, or can you?
Well, what happens is this, is that a lot of us haven't been taught how to think for ourselves. We've been taught how to think the way we've been taught to think.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found, it's taken me quite a few years, but up to 2-3 years ago, I found my passion. And I discovered that my mission in life is to help people to become more conscious and aware of how they show up in the moment. Because people, when they're aware of how they're showing up, the majority of people do not want to make poor decisions for their lives. Most people would like a little more happiness, but really what people are looking for is just a little bit higher overall life satisfaction. And by being aware of how you're carrying your energy, you're able to increase or decrease your level of consciousness and awareness in the moment. And so that is my life purpose. And I started out as a life coach, and because my initial thing was to help out special needs families, because special needs families have so much stress around them, and their divorce rate is a little bit higher than your average. I thought it was 85%, but I found out it's around the 70% divorce rate.
Wow.
So that was my initial reason why I got into life coaching. And then as I got into it, I also realized that a lot of special needs families aren't necessarily have a lot of disposable income. So what I realized is that for me to be able to help out families, and not only special needs families, I grew up with a single mom, so I have a heart for single moms and for people that survive in life.
Right.
I realized that I could not, if I don't actually, I'm able to monetize my business, that I won't be in a position to be able to live my purpose and to help people.
Exactly.
So what I did is I looked at some of the things that I had passion for, and one of them was sports. And through the institution that I got trained at, they had a program that was research for 3 years, and they were just going to train 25 in North America, and it's called a core performance dynamics. And what it is very similar. It's kind of like mindfulness sports, where they have sports psychology, which is all to deal with the mental issues of sports. This type of coaching is really helping athletes become more conscious and aware in their sport, so that they can basically be present enough to succeed at what they do.
Right. Does it have to do also with visualizations, or not really?
Well, let's put it this way: mental issues require mental solutions. I'll give you an example. If you have a doctor who, as a patient goes to him and they have high blood pressure, a doctor will give them a prescription for high blood pressure. If they go to a naturopath, the naturopath will do some cleanses, maybe kidney cleanses, liver cleanses, change the diet, get rid of the gluten, the sugars. The person's weight will come down to a natural weight, and then the symptom of high blood pressure goes away. So what I do is I get to the core of why somebody may not be performing at the level that they're performing.
Oh, okay.
And how I tie this all in with everybody is because of the fact, like I mentioned earlier, that the roles that we play is not who we are. But
well, the mask, right? Again.
Well, what it is,
it's a role on the mask. It's like a combination of things that are not allowing us to be who we should be.
What it's called an over-identification with your sense of self with what you do. Because what happens, a lot of people think that who they are is what they do, and we've known that isn't true. So how I tie in my core performance dynamics is that everybody who actually, whatever role you're playing, maybe a wife, maybe an employee, your ability to be 100% present, because it really, a role is a performance, not an outcome performance, but really more a performance of being able to see if you can be 100% conscious in that moment. It's going to allow you the best success in that particular role, to be the best wife, to be the best employee, to be the best girlfriend. Because if you can be fully conscious in what you're doing, the likelihood of you performing your best in that role is going to work.
Definitely, yeah. It sounds so interesting. So, like, I know you have, as I said before, like coach, like CEOs, directors, but I think that what you're gonna be like you're gonna be like really good in many things because your energy level is really good, right? But I think that you are gonna end up like coaching sport people, right? That would be one of your main goals.
Well, right now, just to give an example, one of the reasons why I really have a heart for sports is because growing up in East Vancouver, I was a hockey player for 14 years. I went to Britannia High School, a big shout out to Britannia there.
Yeah.
So I grew up on the drive, going to Olive Berries for those mortadella sandwiches for $3 back in the day. So one of the things that kept me from going off track was sports.
Right.
And I played ice hockey, coached girls volleyball, I wrestled. And then I also became a provincial all-star as a football player, playing for the Vancouver Marilomas, which to this day it rubs a lot of people because that's West Side, right? But a lot of people think I should have played Trojans, but you know what? I had my brothers playing over there, so. But really, it was a passion, and it was really my escape growing up as a teenager through all the turmoil that I went through the divorce, my stepfather and my mom, and growing up in a certain amount of poverty. Sports was always something that was an escape for me.
Right.
And the only thing that I found is that I played really angry. I was an angry player.
Yes.
And
But of course, you didn't know that back then. Well, you were aware you were angry, but you didn't know anything of what you know now.
Why?
Which is correct, and that's why. Remember, we said that the lower energy levels, you have a lower level of conscious and awareness.
Yes.
So one of the things that happens, that's why when you see people road raging, these two grown men out there fighting, and one guy could be a married father of four, another guy could be a pastor at a church. Who knows, right? Not necessarily a pastor, but it could be somebody that's has very high religious values.
Right.
But as soon as they get into the catabolic energy, their emotional intelligence drops.
Yes.
And there's a lot of labeling and judgment, and they feel like they have to protect something, their sense of self, their manhood, whatever it may be. So quite often in sports, that's what happens, is that in sports, a lot of athletes, there are so many athletes that never make it to college or university or to pro, and it's not because they don't have the skill. It's because they don't know, they're not aware of what's happening to their energy. They're not aware of the things that stress them out. And that's also not only in sports, but also in life. There's a lot of people that we know, and you know too, that maybe have very high IQs. They may even have a great university degree, but they can't really put it together in life.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's because they don't really understand how to manage the stress in their lives. So they're constantly under stress reaction. So they're not being at their best self.
Right.
They're actually living out the energy that they're carrying.
So that would be your coaching regarding sports and athletes. But I know you also would be like really good at coaching women, right? As you just said, I mean, you lived with your mom, and she was a single mom, and she worked really hard. So you have that empathy, Walter. Like not many people have that empathy, and probably sometimes men don't have it. And you do have that empathy for women, and you know the potential women have. And I'm sure that you would be able, like, just to make them shine.
To give an example, like I already coach people. I have clients, and I've had some incredible clients. Right now, I have a director of Mary Kay in Port Moody, and she's an incredible woman. And
say hi to her.
Yeah, Jennifer. It's Jennifer Levers, and she's an incredible.
Hi, Jennifer.
Jennifer. When I met her through a professional hockey player that I'm actually working with as well, and he actually said to her, "You got to talk to this guy."
Yeah.
Because for her, she is at the elite level in the same way that her friend is a professional athlete. And her whole thing was that when I met her, her overall life satisfaction was about a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then after doing some work with her, I've been working with her since June. Last time we talked, her overall life satisfaction went to an 8 out of 10.
There you go.
That's good.
And a lot of that had to do with her. Almost all of it had to do with her. Because really, what I've realized is that I'm living the Canadian dream. And what I mean by that is that I help people to realize that the only one getting in the way of what they really want is themselves. And I get paid for it.
Right.
So I figure that's a Canadian dream, right? So I don't have to know what people want. People already know what they want.
Yes.
I don't have to tell people what to do, because people can come up with a plan of things that they're willing to do to get what they want. Quite often, the reason why they can't find their life purpose or their mission or that mate or that perfect job has to do with the energy that they're carrying is actually blocking it.
Yeah. And that's where you come in, right?
Well, it's definitely where I come in, because what I'm able to do is I'm able to help people to unpack their thoughts and to be able to sort of show them how their thoughts are actually blocking their energy.
Right.
And I'm able to question them in a really meaningful way for them, so that they can come to the realization that there's nothing that's impossible. That's really just an opinion.
Right.
And what happens is that everybody has had a certain level of successes in their lives at some point. So people know that it's possible.
It is possible, right? Yeah.
But what happens is that when life kind of, when we keep on having one negative thing after another in our lives, sometimes we start losing hope.
Definitely. And there's a lot of people like that. I mean, as we were saying at the very beginning, right? That would be the majority, unfortunately.
It does get to you,
It
definitely.
does, yeah.
And the thing about it is that, and the thing about it is that when you're at a point where you don't see hope, it's because you're at the level 1 or level 2 energy.
Mhm.
Level 1, what happens is at the level 1 is you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm.
You don't see a creative solution for your life.
Right.
You have a low level of engagement for whatever role you're playing. So
Mhm.
when you're depressed in level 1, you're not going to be a great wife, a great girlfriend, a great employee.
Hmm.
And what happens is that there is a truth about energies, that energy attracts like energy.
Hmm.
Very true.
And what happens is that we've had so much talk about the law of attraction. The problem with the law of attraction, why people can't consistently get what they want,
Hmm.
is because it doesn't take into account the stress reactions. Because in the law of attraction, you have to be able to focus on what you want so intently
Hmm.
that you attract that.
Hmm.
But when you get on the stress reaction, you go into these catabolic energies and your level of engagement goes low. So you're not able to focus on what you want.
Right. That was pretty awesome. I mean, honestly, guys, Walter was dancing, and he's a really good. I will be contacting you for giving you all the information as how you get in touch with Nona's Kitchen and pick it up. But honestly, congratulations, and thank you for everyone else for participating. That was pretty awesome. I also want to say hello to Maria Margot Ayala. She's the director of Spanglish, and this is all people in the community, in the Latin community, that really make efforts for just, as you said before, keeping our culture and just trying to share with others what's happening with the Latin community. I mean, there's many talented people. I cannot go ahead and start talking about everyone else because
wouldn't have enough
we
time.
won't have time. So we're gonna go like into business. Ori is gonna tell us a little bit about herself. I kind of gave you an introduction. She comes from Mexico. She actually was living a happy life, but then she went into this really bad relationship, which at the beginning, of course, was not bad, but it turned ugly. So she decides to come to Canada. She comes here, she doesn't have a job, she doesn't have where to stay. Things are very stressful. I mean, that will be very stressful for anyone, no matter how positive or optimistic you are. But luckily, this year has been one of her best years. And I guess it all started when she realized her full potential, and others realized that too. And they were able to realize that because she actually went into a TV show called Undercover Boss Canada, and she was working at this fast food franchise. And she gave this spectacular performance, right? I mean, she really presented herself as someone really professional. And she was so good that the CEO of this franchise company where she was working at ended up giving her $10,000 as a gift. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, if that's not like a good, performance from her, what else could it be, right? She definitely demonstrated who she was.
I think it was a validation of how she was showing up. And I had an opportunity to talk to Ori offline yesterday, actually. And one of the things that really impressed me about Ori was that she had just talked to me that she had just finished the contract at her job, so she's right now in a transition period of her life into her next amazing job that I know she'll get.
Definitely.
But one of the things that she said to me was that she felt that this year was one of her best years in her life, and so I got very curious, as I sometimes tend to do, and so I asked her, so what was it that made it so amazing? And that's where our theme today comes from, the surviving to thriving. So as you know, that she came from a difficult situation, but now she's at a point where she's really starting to become conscious of the things that matter, and I really felt that this would be really meaningful for people to really hear her story. So if some of you guys are going through some difficult times, that there might be something in her story that might be beneficial to you. So
Definitely.
without further ado, Ori, please tell us the big question I asked. So why was this your most amazing year?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for having me over, Fatima.
You're welcome.
It is an amazing pleasure to have such great people around. Thank you very much again. Thank you very much for everyone who's listening and paying
Yes.
attention, all my friends and all the people that has is part of my support system. I definitely, like you said, I did have quite a rough start when I first came to this country. However, it was not unique of mine. I think that pretty much every immigrant that come over faces different challenges,
Yes.
and those were my personal challenges. My last 14 to 16 months have been a pretty big transition for me because I separated from my fiance, who I was with for about 4 years, and I was also turning 30. And as a Latin woman, we were talking about all the expectations that we're supposed to meet, right?
Yes.
And culturally speaking, as a Mexican woman, at my 30s, I'm supposed to be a wife. I'm supposed to have a husband. I'm
Yes.
supposed to have
Like 3 children.
children. I'm supposed to, have my house and have a car and have my life all sorted out. And I realized I didn't.
Yes.
I realized I was at a point in my life where I didn't know exactly where I was standing. My life prior to that was my relationship, and now not having my relationship, it was a big shock. So I reached the point where I needed to find myself. I needed to realize that I can do it, right? And so that's one of the reasons why these 14 months or this year has been so fantastic for me, because I went through all this depression of...
You actually experienced that. You
I
went
did.
down.
Oh, I went down badly.
Yes.
I went down very badly.
I think one of the things that really struck me, Ori, about yourself is that the whole concept that sometimes the lessons we learn in adversity have a tendency to be more meaningful to us than the lessons we learn in prosperity. So I think the one thing that really kind of showed up for me as you were telling me your story of from Mexico to here to the relationship that didn't come to fruition, you really come across a lady who really took those lessons to heart, and I think that really speaks a lot about you as a person. So
Thank you. That's one of the things that I really try to do. I know that a lot of people ask, why me? Why me? Why me? But I learned that that's not the right question that I was supposed to be asking myself. I was supposed to be asking, why not me? What makes me so special that I should be exempted from suffering, from going through all of these lessons? Right? So for me, it was I needed to get out of that hole. And I didn't want to stay in that depression. So
were you in that depression like for a long time?
not very long. I wasn't there for a few months, and then it hit me that and also because of my really nice support system.
Yes.
All my friends were like, what are you talking about? What do you
Yeah.
mean you don't have anything? You came from another country. You have a completely different culture. You're able to you have a place that you rent on your own. You're doing well.
Yes.
So all of that helped me, and I realized I can do it,
Yes.
right? So I kept putting challenges in front of me, and first of all, it was like, I need to get well. I need to get well. I need
Start
to heal.
eating
I need to heal
healthy.
my spirit. I need to heal my heart. I need to heal my mind. And then it was
And no
my
one
body.
else can do that for you. It's yourself or no one else. I mean,
Exactly.
there's no options.
Exactly.
I think the thing that shows up as well too is that you really tapped into self-awareness. You started to be aware of yourself, about your situation, and you accepted certain facts about it. There's certain things that you didn't have control over, and I think the other thing that really that you said, which is interesting, is that I know when you told me you came up, you don't have a lot of family here. You basically came up with the shirt on your back to Canada.
Pretty much.
And then you've also been able to create a support network for yourself of people that build you up, not tear you down. And
That's very important.
And you know what's very funny? I called them my angels.
Yes.
And I don't mean it in a religious way. I mean it in a supportive way. I am a firm believer, and we were talking about energy before, and we were talking about it yesterday as well. And I'm a firm believer that whatever you put out to the universe will give it back. So I'm always all about blessings. bless everyone, because at the end of the day, those blessings will end up coming back to me, right? And I was very fortunate that even though being in a different country, I was able to find those angels that will help me. My very first angel, and I hope she's listening, Perla, I love you.
Hi, Perla.
I know her dad still here. Perla Torres, I love you, baby. You were amazing, and thank you very much for all your help. She was working at the hostel where I was staying.
Yes.
And she was the one who explained me the process of what to do to stay here, right? And I remember her bringing from her food bank cans from her food bank
Yes.
to me, so I can eat something because I didn't have the money for it,
Oh dear.
right?
Yes.
So she didn't know me. She was not my family. She was just somebody who was willing to help, and it's really dear and near to me. And I'm telling you, and you can see my eyes are getting totally red
Yes.
because it is a huge sense of happiness that brings to me.
Yes.
I think one of the things that happens too is that we don't realize the small things that we do for other people and the effect that they has on them.
That's so important.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And I think that one of the things too is that for yourself to have somebody that believes in you, because one of the reasons I find quite often when people are in really that are going through a lot of adversity, sometimes they go into that level 1 protection energy where they don't want to reach out and get help. They become sort of unlovable because they don't even love themselves.
Right.
So they can't let anybody else in. And I think that the fact that you were able to come across people that helped you to sort of keep in touch with yourself, because the biggest thing I always tell people is that no matter what's happened to you in your life, you're not your story. So if you have a bad story, it's just crap that you went through, and I don't know.
But it's not you. It's
No.
I mean, it's part of the story. But it's like if you were in a roller coaster, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the roller coaster you were in, but it doesn't mean it's you.
And you're much bigger than that. We were talking about that. I was talking about that with Walter yesterday, off the air, and I said I realized in these past 14 or so months, I made peace with my past.
Yes.
Right, and that was very important for me. We all have a past, and there's nothing we can do about it.
No.
Right, but I grew up with the idea that your past will mark your future, and that is not true.
Yeah.
You're not your past.
One of the things we call that in life coaching is it's a core energy block called an assumption. And a lot of people think as it happened in the past, it's going to happen in the future. But really what happens is what you do in this moment that you're in is what's going to dictate your future. And one of the things that I noticed in your story is that you took
That's really good, Walter. Like, let's try to go back again to that point, because, like, right now, if someone is listening that really is not having a good time, today, if they decide to make a change, that's gonna be reflected in their future. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, as bad and horrible it was. So today, you can change your life.
Because really, when you think about it, our lives are lived in moments. And the only real responsibility we have is to the moment we're in. Everything else in the past is just thoughts. Everything else in the future are just thoughts. It's what you do today that's going to create either a reality that's going to serve you or it's not going to serve you. But we all have a choice. And Ori, one of the things that I've noticed in her past year is that she's made a lot of choices, not only intellectually, but she put some action to them.
Yeah, well, like I said, I used to believe that I was marked by my past, right?
Yes.
And I was
Condemned, right?
pretty much, and one of the reasons why it hit me really badly when I separated from my ex-fiance was the fact that I used to think that nobody would ever love me,
Okay.
and because of what I went through, right, and
Right.
because of what I had to endure in my past.
Yes.
So when I found that person that I felt it was the one,
Yeah.
I felt like I would find somebody else but
Yeah.
him. So
But
I made
why did you think that? Did he make you think that, or you?
no.
you
It
decided
was
to
it
think
was the
that?
way I felt
Yeah.
because after coming from a really bad relationship to a really good relationship, because
Oh.
it was a really good relationship
Yes.
with my ex-fiance,
Ex-fiance.
which unfortunately didn't go through, but it was good.
Uh-huh.
So I felt okay, I found him, right? And I felt like I have to put up with things that may not be the greatest things in the relationship, but if I let this man go, I would never find somebody else.
Yeah,
right?
and it's very important you're saying that, because right now I'm sure there are many women that are thinking the same way, right? I'm not sure if men think that way, but women for sure they do. I mean, I lost this guy, he really loved me and valued me, I'm never gonna find another one like him. And that's something that women think, Walter. I don't know if guys do that, but women do.
Well, one of the things I want to say is it's a good thing we're on radio, because if we were on TV and all these single men out there would see Ori,
He said she goes.
they would all be calling her. And what I wanted to bring is
Jeez, we should be on
Let me
TV.
disconnect the cabin telephone. I don't want people to start calling and asking for her number.
She's one hot Latina mama.
Yeah. You can give your number, Walter, but we won't ask Ori to do that.
Thank you.
So the thing about it is this, is that what happens is that a lot of people, what they do is that whole thing about seeing the cup half empty or half full. A lot of times people will stay in situations that are less than perfect for them because they feel that there's not enough out there.
Well, excuse me, there's tons of marriages like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's and what we do is we call that actually a level 3 energy. It's called the coping energy. And it's a coping energy. It's the energy that keeps you at an okay job, okay relationship. It's the one where you win, and if the other person wins, it's great, but it's not necessary. And it's the energy where you rationalize your life. Oh, I could be in a worse relationship, but you're not in a very good one right now. So you basically settle for less.
Yeah.
And I think with Ori, one of the things that's amazing about her is that she became that her level of awareness is really what's been key in her being able to accept the things that she had no control over and to put some action to the things that she has control over.
It's funny that you said that, Walter, because I don't know if my previous roommate is listening. I hope she is. Dulce, I love you too. But we used to talk all the time until very late at night, and she was here and her boyfriend was in Mexico, and she was always concerned because there was this kind of jealousy going on, right, and this kind of conflict that any long distance relationship will have.
Definitely.
And I used to always tell to her, don't worry about it. You can only control what you can control, right? You can't control anything else.
Yeah.
And as redundant as it sounds, it's true. You can only control what you can control. Whatever he's doing in Mexico, you have no power over.
No, not at
right?
all.
So you can only control your feelings.
Yeah.
You can only know that you're trusting him and putting your confidence in him.
Definitely.
I think one thing that happens with a lot of ladies is that, and also a lot of men, is that they allow a person, a situation,
To define them?
to define who they are. And really, when you start realizing that, and the reason why people do that is because they don't even know who they are.
Right.
They think that they're their jobs, that they're the roles that they play. And when you start coming to the realization that by putting your level of happiness in somebody else's hands, you're actually giving your power away.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to take your life in your own hands, and that I think that's one of the things that I have done these past 14 months, and that's one of the reasons why I'm honestly happy and honestly content with my life so far. And that's why I was telling you yesterday, it has been one of my most successful years. I've been able to, even though I'm 30, like we were talking about before, I know, I'm a treintona.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in the best shape of my life. I was able to do a Tough Mudder, which is a very long race, an obstacle race.
I interviewed your...
I know, I was supposed to come over, I couldn't come over with my team.
Your team was here.
That was a big achievement. You would have asked me if I would have ever done that 2-3 years ago, and I would say, no way, I would not be able to do that ever in a million years. And now that I was able to do that, I feel very good. I was able
More
to
empowered,
open, and I was able to
and that had
open
nothing
another
to do
restaurant.
with dating any man, or it didn't have anything
Oh,
to
no.
do with... You see, that's what Walter
No.
is trying to say, right? Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing that happens is that society teaches us that we need other people to complete us. Even if you remember the old Jerry Maguire.
Oh, I hate that phrase.
You complete
me.
And really what it comes down to is that we need to understand who we are. And
Happiness comes from within.
And when you are complete in yourself, then you can actually attract somebody else that's complete in themselves. And then what you actually find is you find yourself a partner who's a witness to your adventure in this life.
Right. Yes, definitely. This is pretty amazing. I mean, the time is running off. And before we go, well, I just want to remind you guys, this is Latin Salad, CJSF, and now Walter is going to give us his information because I'm sure people will be contacting you. You're amazing. You're amazing, and I'm so grateful you're here, and also Ori. But before, we say goodbye, why don't you just give your website and phone number?
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say it's an honor of sitting here with two amazing Latina women, and I think that
Thank you.
One of the things that I've always believed is that beside every man that does a great thing is a woman who's equally as amazing, and I think that as we as people become more conscious and aware of how we're showing up for each other, I really feel that we have the opportunity to really create more peace and more love and more compassion for one another. And I think that that's really why I do what I do.
Right.
And I feel honored to have this forum. Now, as far as myself, I am a core performance dynamics specialist, so I do work with professional, competitive, up-and-coming athletes. I also do relationship coaching. I do midlife coaching. I do transition coaching. Right now, I'm a dating coach for a 60-year-old retired Mary Kay national director. And she just happened to meet an amazing man.
Oh, there you
because
go.
She now learned how she's carrying her energy, and so I'm like the Bubba Gump from Forrest Gump of life coaching. I'll life coach anyone, anywhere, on anything, at any time. And I do have a site. My website for my life coaching is called naturalactioncoach.com. So Natural Action Coach. And for my sports performance, I have a website called Natural Action Coaching with ing at the end.com. So whether you're an athlete or whether you're just a person who feels that there's more to life and that right now you really could use somebody to be able to talk to that can ask some meaningful questions that can help you to get yourself out of the way, because guys, the only person getting in your way of getting what you want, whether it's that great relationship, that great job, that promotion, or just overall more life satisfaction, is you. So remember that nobody else has the power to make choices for your life but you. And you're the most amazing person in this world, because no two people are created alike. And since we were all created in the image of our Creator, none of us are broken. We don't need to be fixed. Sometimes all we need is just an opportunity to look at life in a different way that serves us.
That's very, very, very true. This is pretty amazing. As I said before, I think you're gonna do amazingly well in this business. This is probably your call, your passion. And I don't know, do you want to say some greetings or something to family members or clients?
Well, I think I just want to say a special shout out to my wife, Rayanne. She's an amazing woman who I've married for 21 years.
Wow.
And she's an amazing. My mom's amazing, Elda Beseda. She is a woman who has survived and thrived, very much like Ori. One of the things that I find with Ori, my mom, there are a lot of single moms out there, and I want to give a shout out to you guys, because you guys go to hell and back, but you actually are there for your kids. And for all those men that stayed with their wives, even though through adversity, I want to commend you guys as well, because you guys deserve some kudos. I think sometimes we always talk about all the men that left, but there's a lot of
that stay.
That stay and that are the rock there for the family. So I just want to give big kudos to you guys, because you guys are definitely angels for a lot of families, and you're the rock. So
definitely. That's very true.
And in that note of the single mothers, I just wanted to really quickly say a hi to my sister. She's an amazing, strong woman, and she lives in California, and she has 2 kids. And I love her so much. She also has a radio show.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I just wanted to say hi. I know she's listening right now, so I just wanted to say a quick hi. And I want to say hi also to all of my friends and all of those members of the Mexican Society in Vancouver that are listening as well. we are a lot of members right now on Facebook, so it's always good.
It's always good. That's a really good way to communicate and to like be in touch, right? I mean, this is amazing that we have this technology nowadays. And that's basically how I met Walter, right?
Yeah, we met on Facebook, and it's just amazing how we communicate right now. And,
That's how we met as well.
Yes.
yeah, we all met that way. And one last shout out, I wanted to make it out to all my IPEC coaches out there in North America. You guys are all amazing, and I really look forward to us really impacting the world consciousness one person at a time.
Definitely. We're going to listen some more music, and thank you so much to everyone for listening. This was an amazing, amazing show. Thank you, Ori. Thank you,
Thank you
Walter.
very much,
Thank
Fatty,
you.
for having us over.